Please, I'm begging on you. What time do we start our class?
8.
8. And what's the time now? It's above 8, right? It's above. So please let us behave like you're not kids. Are you kids? You're not kids. So please, you need to prioritize your things. Be mindful of time. I'm begging on you. It's not I'm not forcing on you, but I'm just pleading with you. It's just a plea to you. Yeah. I'm begging on you. Just be conscious of our time. Okay, today I want us to look at the problems of development in children. Development in children. Problems of development in children. But first of all, before we look at the problems of development, let us first of all know the word development. Let us have a look at the word development. What is it all about when we say or when we look at the word development?
Development is the change in one's individual. The change in individual. It can be the size or the way that person thinks.
That's according to our friend. I want us to brainstorm. Let us brainstorm the word development. How would you, what comes into your mind when you hear about the word development?
Just like she said, it is a change, or a change in something, for example, in behavior, or the way someone is.
Okay, so a keyword is change. It's a change. And change, in most cases, it moves from point A to point B. Sometimes it can even move from point B to point A as well. So both ways change can take. Now development, a general definition will be, it's not only one definition which we are going to look at. In general, a general meaning of development is a process that creates. It's a process that creates a positive change or negative change. Positive or negative change. Or again, is a term that talks about an event, and that event constitutes a new stage in a changing situation. An event constituting a new stage in a changing situation. That's development.
I didn't give the last one. Events that constitute
A new stage in changing situation. In changing situation. An event constituting a new stage in a changing situation. Again, it can also be said to be a process that creates growth. In our case, that's it. I will not go outside our program. A process that creates growth or progress or positive change or the addition of physical or component. Physical component or physical component. A process that creates growth or process or positive change or the addition of physical component. And the final one, development, can refer to the pattern, and the change in human capability that occur throughout the course of life. The pattern and change in human capabilities that sometimes occur, or that usually occur throughout the course of life. Which means when we're talking about change, if it's in a human being, that is to say, it occurs throughout the course of life. It keeps on changing. It keeps on going, changing from phase A to phase B, or phase B to phase C, and so on and so forth. That's development. That is to say, it's systematic continuity. Change occurs systematically in a continuity form. It continues, doesn't stop. Probably it stops somewhere else, and it could be probably the moment you are dead. And again, change starts between conception and death. Between conception and death. That is to say, when the father's sperm penetrates the mother's ovum and it creates a new organism, that's conception. Now, in child development, the definition can mean as follows, or we can define child development as follows. This one refers to the sequence. It refers to the sequence of physical. That's when we're talking about development in the area of the child or child development. It means, or it refers to a sequence of physical, language, thought, and emotional change that occur in a child from birth to the beginning of adulthood. From birth to the beginning of adulthood. That's in childhood. It's a sequence of physical, language, thought, and emotion or changes. And these changes occur in a child from birth to the beginning of adulthood. And again, during this process, a child progresses. The child progresses from dependence on the parents or guardians to increasing independence. This is what actually happens when a child is developing. A child stops or develops self-dependence and living out depending on parents or guardians completely. So during this stage, it's a process whereby a child progresses from dependence on their parents or guardians to increasing independence. Some of the things which he or she used to depend on the parents or guardians, he leaves them and starts developing his own or our own depending his own we are on problems of development in children. If you can ask your friends, if you're not on the forum, you're on the forum. If you're on the forum, ask your friends to send the course outline.
So this is your second class.
Your second class,
Yes.
but your friend in the first class.
Yes. She's very good for her.
So why are you late?
Son, you're big.
You're supposed to start early in the morning.
Yes,
If you know the class starts at 8. So next time don't come late. And don't come late.
yes.
Okay, so that is the definition of development. And you've heard something about the development. Now they're saying child development has domains or domains of child development. Domains of child development and the concept of the whole child. Domains of child development and the concept of the whole child. The concept of the whole child. That's looking at the child holistically. The concept of the whole child, that's the idea of the whole child. Makeup, that's makeup of the whole child, the whole child. They're saying children grow and develop in different domains. They grow and develop in different domains. Generally, they are the following domains which are linked up to the development of the child. The first one being physical and motor development. That's the first domain. And the second one is social and emotional domain, development domain. And the third one is cognitive and language domain. So when we are looking at the domains of child development, areas of child development. The areas, when we're talking about a child development, which areas do we look into to prove to us that a child indeed is developing? Do you get what I'm saying? The areas, there's some areas which can clearly show through probably their characteristics, which will be shown through those domains, and whatever we're going to see along those domains or from those domains, they're going to prove to us that indeed this child is developing. Now, the first domain is physical and motor development, and the second one is social and emotional development, and the third one is cognitive and language development. These domains will show us, will prove to us that indeed a child is developing. When we talk about physical and motor domain, what is it all about? As an area of development, what is it all about? What do we see in it? What are the characteristics of development can we see from this domain? When we talk about physical and motor development, this one describes how a child or children or children's bodies grow. Physical, timon and muscle, right? Yes. Physical things, we see them with our eyes. When a child is growing, definitely we are going to see some things changing. If we can go back to the definition of development, the key word is changing from stage A to stage B. That's change, progressing or growing. Now, if we are looking at a child's development in terms of physical and motor, so we are looking at how children's bodies grow and develop. How do they grow and develop? And how are they learning to control the movements of their bodies? Because when we talk about motor, that's, we're talking about movements. Movements. When a child is 1 day old, can he move? Probably he moves, but you can't observe. If he's not moving, then he's dead. He moves, probably. But the kind of movement is not all that is a serious one. It's just a minimum because of the size of the child. But when we're talking about motor development, let us hear what actually they're talking about. So, in this physical and motor development, what is being described is the child's bodies or children's bodies grow and then develop, and how they learn to control the movements of their bodies. How children control the movements of their bodies. And now, in this domain, there are two things or two parts which we are going to look into. The first part of this domain is the physical growth of the child. Physical growth. Physical. So what we can see with our eyes when a child is developing. The first one on growth or physical growth, we are looking at the size of a child or children. Again, weight of a child. Children, they are taken to the under 5 clinic to see the progress in size, in weight. So size, weight, and also height. So 3 things we have noticed that's in this part of physical growth. And apart from physical growth, in the physical and motor development, another part which we're interested in is the large and small motor skills. Large motor skills and small motor skills that a child uses to do things. Uses to do things. Now they're saying on the same on physical development, they're saying for healthy physical development, children need nutrition or nutritious food. For health, physical development, children need nutritious food. Provide nutritious food to children if you want your children or your child to grow. Provide nutritious food. And again, what else? On healthy physical development. What do they also need apart from nutritious food? Children need water, clean water. They need clean water. They also need regular exercise or exercises. They also need enough sleep, apart from nutritious food, apart from, again, clean water, regular exercises, and enough sleep and rest. They also need health care when they are sick. Take them to the hospital or to the clinic the moment they are sick. And again, they also need to be immunized. They need immunization so that they are protected against diseases. So all these things which I've just mentioned here, if you want your child to grow healthy, because when we're talking about child development, you can't leave out health, the issues of health. So I've mentioned on the healthy physical development, I've mentioned about nutritious food, I've also mentioned about clean water, I've also mentioned about regular exercises, enough sleep and rest, healthy care, and also finally I've mentioned about immunization. Immunization, the importance of immunization is there. It's supposed to be provided for protection's sake against diseases. I don't know if there is any question on that one before I go any further. Then question, no question. Okay. Let us also have a look at that was on physical development. Now on motor development. Motor development. What is involved in motor development? So in motor development, this one involves skills in using the body parts. Skills in using the body parts. We have so many parts of the body or in the body. So on the motor skills, we are looking at two things. We are looking at the two things or two types of motor skills. Two types of motor skills. If you can remember, if you were attentive earlier on, I did mention about small motor skills and large motor skills. The first one, let us have a look at the large muscle skills. Muscle skills. Large. So children need to move the different large muscle in their bodies so that they can do things like crawling. Crawling can be helped by muscle, walking, running, skipping, climbing, hopping, and even jumping. All these activities, they are done with the help of large muscles. So indeed, a child needs large muscle skills. And this skill can assist him or her to walk, to run, to skip, to climb, to jump, to crawl. Apart from large motor skills, we have small muscle skills. Again, in this area, children need to control the small muscles in their hands and fingers to handle things like spoons, climbing, to pick up objects. So a child will be in a position to pick up these objects. Will be assisted by the small muscle skills. And these skills, they are very vital or important for learning to write. So I've talked about two muscle skills on motor development. The first one is large muscle skills, and we've known what is this all about and why this large muscle skills is important. It helps in the safe activities, crawling, jumping, running, etc., etc. I went also further to explain the small muscle skills which a child needs. A child or children need this. A child needs this in order to control the small muscles in their hands and fingers. For what purposes? For handling things like spoons and even pliers, or to pick up objects. So these skills are important for learning how to write. If you can remember, while I was beginning, I did mention about the topic which today we are going to learn. We were interested in, or we are interested in problems of development in children, right? This is what I said earlier on. Problems of development. We have known the development. We have defined development. We've known the development. Its path. That development starts from conception, when the father pumps in sperm into mother's ovum, and she gets conceived, and later on she bears a child. The child goes into several processes up to death. That's when development stops, because it's a lifelong activity. It's a process. We've known the development. Now let us go to the developmental problems. So which means in the course of, when a child is in the course of developing, can face problems. Because we've heard about the requirements for a child to grow. We've heard about nutritious food. A child needs nutritious food. We've heard that a child needs water, clean water. A child needs sleep and rest. We've heard a lot of things on the part of even health. We've also heard about a lot of things which are connected or which can come in to help a child to grow or to develop. Now, here they are bringing in developmental problems. That is to say, even though there's the other part which is the positive one, there's also the other part which is the negative one. Once the child is in the process of developing, there can also be some other factor that can cause a child not to develop accordingly. Now, developmental problems. Developmental problems are referred to under the umbrella term developmental delays. When they're talking about developmental problems, which means they're looking at developmental delays. These are the delays which describe any ongoing delay in a child's meeting age-specific developmental milestone. These are delays which describe any ongoing delay in a child's meeting age-specific developmental milestone. That is to say, when a child is developing, it means he's supposed to meet age-specific development or developmental milestone. Mwana akanakula. Mwabuno bwino. Pamakaloti either call, even also kuyamana, those specialists, developmentalists, those who study the development of the child, they know for sure the pattern which a child is supposed to follow when it comes to growth of the child. From a certain age, even in US, should I say, is there anybody who doesn't know when a child is supposed to go to under 5 clinic? We don't have anybody here. When does a child being taken to under 5 clinic? I'm a man to get about stuff. Don't pretend as if you don't know anything. Don't pretend as if you don't know anything. I hope you know something, but you're hiding.
I think it's as soon as the baby is born.
As soon as the baby is born. That's an assumption. Yeah? First month. Why do you think they take a child to clinic?
So that the
That's protection. What else?
So that they know the development.
Why not saying, okay, God is in control, He's going to take good care of him.
The child might have complications.
To avoid these developmental problems, some delays. So which means you can agree with me, or we can agree with what here is saying. There's a need for a child to be taken to health care programs for a reason. Because the child is supposed to meet age-specific developmental milestones. Each and every stage which a child is supposed to go through should be screened to see indeed the child is following the right path of growth. And any problem is supposed to be dealt with instantly, because that one is going to delay the growth of this particular child. So to avoid the delay, mwana wa miezi miwili alina utumina ngatana bado alindi 12 inches rula. Adamu kula mwili ndi amakula every month amakula ndi can be 2 inches. The first 2, they will 2 to 4. But for the third month, I will only 0.5. There is a problem. And the hospital or the medical personnel are supposed to find out what is the root cause of this particular problem, because it's causing a delay. Mana makula 2 inches, 2 inches, without once. That trend, a pattern, all of a sudden, it goes, instead of 2, it's below 2. This one is going to cause a delay. So they're going to take good care of that. They're going to find out what is the root cause of this particular deficit. Instead of 2, but now it's 1.2 or 0.5 or 6 or 7. It's a problem. So developmental problems are referred to under the umbrella term. They're defined under the umbrella term, developmental delays. These are developmental delays. If you're talking about developmental problems, you're talking about developmental delays, and these delays, they are described as an ongoing delay. In a child's meeting, a child is meeting age-specific developmental milestone. Delay in a child's meeting age-specific developmental milestones. Because a child is supposed to follow a physical growth. Now, any opposition to that physical growth is a problem. Any opposition. We are talking about the child physically is supposed to grow. True of us, one about the physical is supposed to grow. A child is, when a child is born, every day you're supposed to see some changes taking place in the child. That's physical growth. If you are seeing them, doesn't mean that one can not see them. The internal growth, you can't see them. But the outside growth of a child, you can see them with your eyes. Every day, when you are looking at your child or your sibling, whosoever is very close to you, is a child, you are seeing with your eyes. That's a physical. Whatever you are seeing with your eyes, that's a physical growth. Now, all of a sudden, you used to see changes, some changes in a child. All of a sudden, those changes cease. They stop. You can't see no any other growth. That's a delay. It's a developmental problem. It's opposition of physical growth. It's opposition of physical growth. Something is opposing the growth, physical growth of the child. That's a problem. Now, to be a genuine medical symptom, as opposed to a child's temporal lag in one area, a developmental problem must affect a chain of developmental milestones. Yes, that's the truth. They are saying a child is in a process of growing physically or emotionally. Some of the things we're not very much interested in, but first of all, we're interested in the physical. Or what you are seeing, those are symptoms of growth. Those are symptoms of growth. So if there's developmental problem, this one will affect, if there's a problem of growth in a child, that problem definitely is going to affect a lot of things. It's going to affect the process which a child was in. A child is in the process of growing. All of a sudden, a problem comes in. That problem definitely is going to affect a lot of things. That problem, which you have identified in the course of the process of growth of the child, that problem is going to affect a lot of things, or is going to affect a change of developmental milestone, and it must be ongoing. And most of these problems, the developmental problems, are recognized before the child's second birthday. These problems. First birthday. Today is what? 26th. 27th of February. Same birthday is going to be when? This is first birthday. Because lazima itatuze hivi. Mwana wangu bado kumene that's the first birthday. Zola.
No. It's supposed to be the next.
First birthday, ndio 2023. Ndio 27 February 2024. Hii birthday yake. First birthday. Moyo usingiuza ile masimani. You don't have anything to say. No. Amateur.
As man.
So first birthday. Second birthday, 27th February 2025. That's second birthday. Then period E. From here up to here. Ngati mwana ali ndi vuto la makulidwe. There is developmental problem. That one, according to what they're saying here, most developmental problems are recognized or seen before the birth, child's second birthday. This period. That's when you're going to recognize that there is a problem in my child. There is a problem in my sibling. There is a problem in the neighbors, or my neighbor's child. Now, these developmental problems, they fall into several categories. They fall into several categories, and these developmental problems, they affect ongoing functional developmental milestones. They may fall into the groups of language skills, the areas that can be affected. The areas that can be affected by these developmental problems. One is language skills. Language skills can be affected. Cognitive development, that's thinking and learning, can also be affected. So, room one is so we are looking at the functions that can be affected, the areas that can be affected by these developmental problems. The first one, I did mention about language skills. Language skills can be affected. Number two, the area that can be affected or function that can be affected, that's the cognitive development. When we're talking about the cognitive development, we're talking about the thinking and learning can also be affected by this problem. The third area that can be affected is social and emotional development. Social and emotional development. Another area, physical development, can also be affected. When we are looking at the physical development, we are looking at the gross motor and fine motor skills. Physical development, we are looking at gross motor and fine motor skills can be affected. What are these physical development problems? We want to look at these physical development problems. The first one, motor delays. If you remember, I earlier on did mention about motor delays. Motor is about what did I say area motor. We're looking at what? This.
The large and small.
Yes. Small motor skills and large motor skills. Movements. I didn't mention about when you're looking at the word motor, we're looking at movements. Movements. So there are some delays, motor delays. It's a developmental problem. And it also, such kind of problem, they do have factors that can cause a person not to move. Accidents, diseases. Like which disease? Because that child has been stricken by a disease like polio, chikungunya, anadwala mamungu amatirani umama kabelera so mpaka babeli kama so one is to kuza so and bus so again. So there are a lot of factors that can cause this motor delays. So motor delays is one of the physical development problem. Eh? Okay. Only motor delays in motor skills can they interfere with they can interfere child's ability. They can interfere child's ability to do what? To coordinate large muscle groups. Delays in motor skills can interfere with child's ability to coordinate large muscle groups, such as those in the arms and legs. Muscles in the arms and legs can be affected and even some other small muscles, such as those in the hands, can also be affected. Now, for instance, if we are talking about such a problem in infants, you know infants? Okay. If this problem of motor delays has affected an infant, that is to say an infant will be in a position not to crawl or roll. If a child has been affected by this kind of problem, this problem will affect infants growing and sometimes even rolling over. And again, if this one has attacked older children, may bring some problems in walking. Children will not be able to walk. Walking, if you're going upstairs, if you're not going upstairs, if you want to come downstairs, you will not come downstairs because you've been affected by motor delays. What about those with fine motor delays? And this one may have difficulty holding onto small objects. Children will not be in a position to hold objects if they are also affected by fine motor delays. Gross, that's large impact. The difference between these two is large impact. Gross, when you're talking about gross, large impact, because children will be affected in terms of they will fail to walk, jump, crawl, whilst in fine, small impact, that is to say, maybe holding some objects, they'll fail to hold them, like toys, tying shoes, or even brushing their teeth, they'll fail. That's fine, not the gross. Gross, that's huge impact. Small impact, that's fine. Now, what would be the signs of motor development delays? Signs of motor development delays. If you see some of these characteristics or symptoms, you know for sure that our child has fine or gross motor delay problems. The functions that can be affected are as follows: one, loose trunk and ramps, or floppy or loose trunk and limbs. In short, let us choose the simple ones: loose limbs. Limb, yeah, limb. Do you know limb? Limb kapeni, yeah. Limbs. Do you know limb? Mama di yeah, limbs. What is a limb? Loose limb. Limb ni utendo ni limb. Limb. Ndiyo. Limb ni ya. Simwendo. You have your book dictionary, book. Limb. L-I-M-B. Which year is this? What year are you on? Which year is this? Fourth year. You're failing to know the word limb. Are you sure? You didn't do biology in Sunday school. So why are you failing limb? This one. In Matiana. What is this?
An arm or leg of a person of great animal.
It's a what?
An arm or leg of a person.
Mwendo or cord, sio? Loose. Loose. What does that mean? Loose. You can agree with me to say, mkono unimama susuka control. Opaka control. Mwina kupanga yonji ukulima. Mwina kupanga yonji ulime mpamvu. Ngati kupuwa, right? That's better sure. So loose. Ulime mpamvu kapena mungo. Basi mwina uzienda kwa wino yonji mungo. Kudu unyamwe kuna na wao kulepe. Basi. Mungo kapena mkono basi. When you see that sign, it's development. So we are looking at the large or small motor delay. So this one, is it a large or a small one? Large. Stiff arm and legs. Stiff, ndio wangulimba. Umeruhusu jamungu ukoka basi ulibe mpamvu. Siku ni stiff here, ulibe mpamvu. Very weak. Probably weak. You could also even use instead of loose, weak. The second one is stiff arms and legs. Very stiff. Ungo uma, mwendo wa uma, kabina mkono. Kudu ongole usiteka. You see that. Sometimes limited movement in arms and legs. Mkono. Can you see this? Mkono. Look at this. I'm able to do this. Come on, over limited. Could be low. With us. But you saw this I cannot do that. So that's limited. It's again a problem, motor. Delay. Limited movement in arms and legs. By 9 months, a child is supposed to sit properly by 9 months. But you may find at the age, 9-month-old child is unable to sit without support. Mwana at 9 months is supposed to sit without support. Kumupeza kwa mwezi wa 9 mwana aume mbali amwingira mu blanket. Huko sasa kwa blanket pale ni so tikafika mwana kumiti ama kuti hii nategea sababu yake ama shida kwenda ama shida kukaa without knowing it's a problem the problem. Again, another problem is inability to bear weight on legs and stand up by about 1 year old. At 1 year old is unable to bear weight on legs and stand up by about 1 year old. Kufika mpaka mwana chaka chimoza kulepera mwini. Is that normal? What do you say that one? Agogo haki na uso ambaye ana mchikazi akutoa baba hata gogo aona sio mjuzi then is no. Now by 1 month, 1 year, mwana sakwenda. Is that normal? Lazy woman, that's the question. Falling outside the normal range is not normal. Falling outside, this child by the age of 1 year is falling outside the normal range. Is it not a cause for concern? Call is at the age of 1 subway. At the age of 2 subway. Call is subway. Is that normal?
Some people walk, like I know of a child. She started walking at 1 year, 5 months. But she used to stand.
Now the question is that normal?
No.
It's not. There's no question on that. It doesn't matter whether you started walking whilst you were 3 or 5 years, but the answer is it wasn't normal. It was abnormal. That delay is developmental delay. That was not normal. Whether you walked, you started walking at whilst you were 10 or whatever age, but that was not normal. So that was not normal. But if a child is unable to perform tasks within the expected time frame, because each and every stage a child will go through has got expected time frame and the capacity of doing things. Each and every stage which a child will go through have its time frame of doing things. And when it comes to growth, somebody is expecting. Even by the age of 18, that's the end of adolescence. Our present continuum by the flat. What happens? Will not come in the open. That's flat like a man. It's a problem. It's a problem. That's the development one. Problem. Delay. Any question? Any question? We are looking at what? We are looking at our mental signs of what? What? But okay, but we were looking at the problems of what?
Development.
So number one is motor delay. Problem number two, malnutrition. Problem number two is malnutrition. Do you have malnutrition in your problem? You're doing ECD, what? ECD, ECD or ECD, ECE? Huh? ECE. This is your problem. Do you have malnutrition in this problem?
Yes.
Malnutrition? That's very nice. Go further with that. Go deeper in nutrition. Come on. You need to spice your problem. Go deeper with nutrition course. Mamaliza hii ngopanga degree yangu mu nutrition. Mamisa be very marketer. Please do that. Another problem when it comes to development is malnutrition. Malnutrition is the commonest disease in the world, especially third world countries. Which are third world countries? Mayukota. Yes, Mayuko Saura, but Malawi. Malawi is the poorest country. This is the poorest of third poorest in the world. Huh? You're surprised?
Yes.
Malawi is
Very poor.
third from the world.
But people are rich. Malawi is poor, but people are rich.
So the commonest disease in the world is malnutrition. What does malnutrition mean? Can somebody tell us malnutrition? When we hear about malnutrition, what is it all about?
Is the lack of certain nutrients that are required for the child to grow.
Only child. Malnutrition. Mudogo kusanya malnutrition.
Mungu alisema child. Mama is
Mungu kula manya. Meno ni wewe usuri ni. Sumba bele malnutrition. Let me take what I say. I'm sure. Don't you say malnutrition is kula na exercise. It is what you are saying.
yes.
That's not true. Mumeno ni uzunichi. Umakaya osamani. Zoe ni kazo na kupake uzunichi. Usita kupige meno kwa do they call it malnutrition or passion? What's the difference between malnutrition and passion?
I think I should be nutrition.
Primary school we used to do the difference between passion and malnutrition. Marasmus and passion. I don't know. Anyway, that's not I just want to hear from you. Okay, malnutrition in a simple term, that's a poor quality food. Sure. Bad nutrition is bad nutrition. It means bad nutrition, which does not only mean too little food, but also too much food or poor quality. Nutrition. Chakula hicho cha kunjani. Ubozomani ya kunjani. olwokyeko omugani w'egungi the nutrients which are there in the food. What you can see now, what every day. When I want this starch, when I can do wrong, not all the necessary contents of the food which are required for a person to eat. So it means malnutrition, which does not only mean too little food, but also too much food or poor quality food. So therefore, overweight in children can also be considered to be a result of malnutrition. Overweight. Every day, every meal, you become overweight. So the result, overweight, that's malnutrition. You also consider malnutrition as a result of malnutrition. So malnutrition is a condition. It's a condition that results from eating a diet in which one or more nutrients are either not enough. That's the clear definition of malnutrition. Yes, malnutrition. It's a condition. It's a condition that results or that has come from eating a diet in which one or more nutrients are either not enough or are too much. Sometimes too much or anything is poison. Too much of anything is poison. So when we talk about nutrition, either the food which you've taken, you are eating a diet in which one or more nutrients are either not enough, or are too much, such that the diet causes health problems. Nsima mmere ngoja nsima yambi ima kulisanisi. Do you know even diabetes sometimes is caused by food? So some cases always the brain can have problems. What are symptoms of malnutrition? The symptoms of malnutrition, symptoms and signs of malnutrition could include lack of appetite or interest in food or drink. Watch out for those signs. Probably sometimes you experience them. Lack of appetite or interest in food or drink. Tiredness and irritability. Tiredness or irritability. That was in a small crowd. Sometimes you are unable to concentrate. Always feeling cold, depression, loss of fat, loss of muscle, mass, kuona katubu tazima kuuma kali kwa katika tauni. Loss of fat, I'm just kidding. Muscle mass, loss of muscle mass, weight to live in. Wherever scale, loss of body tissue. A higher risk of getting sick and taking longer to heal. Taking time. but we'll take more time because when wakaliba longer healing time for wounds after surgery. If you've gone for surgery, a higher risk of complications after surgery. However, you've been operated on, obviously complications are coming. And eventually or finally, a person may also experience difficulty breathing and heart failure. Can lead to even heart failure. Now, in the children, if malnutrition has hit or has occurred in children, there may be lack of growth, lack of growth, and low body weight. Kupita kusikeo mwana mwezi huu akuza mwana zakatero akulemea 3 kgs. Kupita mwezi wa mao akulemea 3 kgs. Mwezi wa mkuja akulemea 2.99 muda zipero. So lack of growth and low body weight. They could even say stunted growth. Stunted growth. Lack of energy and tiredness. Intellectual development, slow intellectual development and behavior. Slow behavior and intellectual development possibly resulting in learning difficulties. Slow behavior and intellectual development, which may end up causing learning difficulties. Good news is that treatment for this kind of problem is possible. That's good news. Good news is treatment is possible. So they're saying in some cases, however, malnutrition can have long-term effects. What are the causes of malnutrition? What are the causes of malnutrition? Malnutrition can be caused by quite a number of reasons. This can be a consequence or a result of health issues, such as gastroenteritis, or chronic illness, especially HIV/AIDS pandemic, diarrhea, and other infections can cause malnutrition. Like in diarrhea, it means diarrhea you open the bowel, which means the food you are eating. Sometimes the absorption of nutrients is very difficult, or the intake of food is hard. Sometimes there are some diseases which may cause you not to eat. So how are you going to survive? How are you going to get these nutrients if you're not eating? So you're going to lose nutrients. As a result, people may become malnourished due to lack of taking body nutrients or food nutrients. Tango bila class. Okay. Let us also have a look at dietary practices. Dietary practices. Because when you're looking at nutrition, it's lack of food nutrients or diet, proper diet. That's all. Now, we are looking at the dietary practices. Dietary practices. Poverty is one of the factors that cause malnutrition. There are so many factors that cause malnutrition. One of them is poverty. Because when you're looking at we're talking about diet, diet nutrition. How many food are 6 one. This course. 6 another, which is 6 groups of food. Fats. Where can we get fats from? Cheese. Who can afford the cheese if you are poor? You can cheese how much? Cheese. A bag of cheese how much? So 4,000. You are failing to get young child 50 kwacha. Then you talk of 4,000 kwacha. One poverty can contribute to that. Another type of food. Vitamins. Vitamins, where do you get vitamins from? Veggies. Veggies. You don't even know. Fruits. Do you get the vitamins from fruits? If it is true, yes, fine. Or which kind of fruits? I mean, now these locally found, then tell you about they will every day, when this so vitamins. What else? Proteins. Where do you get proteins from? Nyemba and other food stuff and so on. So poverty is one of the factors that cause or contribute to that one. Okay, so problem number one, on development, problems of development in children, we looked at motor. Second one, malnutrition. And the third one, dietary practices. Dietary practices. It's a problem. Diet practices. On dietary practices, let us have a look at undernutrition. 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 This is lack of enough or adequate breastfeeding. Example, this one, undernutrition. A lack of adequate breastfeeding can lead to malnutrition in infants and children. Also, that is to say, is self-contained breastfeeding. Children just get moment. Wonderful. As Bamboso, I mean, we are also somewhere. Na atofuna nutrition yoba. Chakula kili kwa ino musi ya UF basi chini upesa kwa even though there was a certain time I heard about this and I even read all the magazine. In Ethiopia, there was a certain region which was known as Karamoja region. Karamoja. Is it Uganda or Ethiopian side over there? Heat. I mean, what do we call it? Hunger hit that region to the extent whereby a father was depending on the wife's milk. And he survived. He survived. As Bambodu Mawatu Uwacho, as compared to Unas. It's much of a that's the research. So you can use. Okay. So we are talking about dietary practices. So for instance, the first one is undernutrition. Undernutrition, they're saying a lack of enough or adequate breastfeeding can lead to malnutrition in infants and children. And this one associated with the death of an estimated over 1 million children annually. Undernutrition. Undernutrition. It has caused a lot of deaths in children. That say over or estimated 1 million children annually. And 1 million. Because of what? Lack of enough breastfeeding. And lack of breastfeeding leads to malnutrition in children and infants. So take note of that. Again, only dietary practices. We are also looking at maternal malnutrition. Maternal malnutrition. Maternal malnutrition. Who is hit by this malnutrition? Mother. Mother. Malnutrition is mother. Maternal malnutrition can also factor into the poor health or death of a baby. Mzimai alime zoendeleza mtu alima nutrition mwana aya mapeta aya mamakazi marmoti aya mwe nkaka kwa mabele lazima ilo to the extent whereby nkaka mulibe mwana mpaka kudia jani titi ya mzima ba amai mpaka ba ndi fa mwana wangu kala kuyama kuyesa kukoka nonka omene kutuka simply because amai mtupu mwauma mwenye na kijosi andi mwana akwenda kudaya amwe palibe nkaka mapendo wake mwana hapa nga survive mwana will die, definitely will die. The child will die. So maternal malnutrition can also factor into the poor health or death of the child. So over 800,000 neonatal death have occurred because of deficient growth of the fetus in the mother's womb. Another problem is overnutrition. Yes, overnutrition. Too much of nutrition. So overnutrition caused by overeating. They like eating too much. They like eating. So overeating is also a form of malnutrition. Which can lead to obesity. So overeating is much more common in the United States of America. Most generally 1, 2, 3 needs of parties and worse. When I weight 4 ukawaita mungu umwika mgali moto icha gali moto mbuyo kucha mbuyo mwale soko Simone you overweight 600 lips imene times 2 imene ili 1200 kgs ndio iwe super fit 100 kgs ndio ndio 10 saje basa 12 ama 100 kgs kupanga weight ya mungu chimungu mwendo mozi ndio kuti mwendo oka mwendo mene ndili mwina so ineso ndaje basa mwina kupatiza ndugu mwendo. So that's overeating is much more common in the United States of America, where for the majority of people, access to food is not an issue. And sisa kuja waangalia, mali kwanza tunataka, sasa kuja sisa kuja wapi. When we talk about food, but table kukaa kwa kutukulia hapa kandiroelewa tika. Za kuja, za nkanyikani, za mnoso with quality. Food of high quality and nutrition, very nutritious. So many parts of the world have access to a surplus of non-nutritious food in addition to increased sedentary lifestyles. So that's overnutrition. It's also very dangerous. So the issue in these developed countries is choosing the right kind of food. More especially is very avoid chunky foods. Do you know chunky foods? Like what? Hamburgers. Avoid them. Zimezi zino kunene pesani kwa zazi. Zimimba kuno. Mbina huko mahiku huko. But avoid such kind of foods. Don't like it. So the issue in these developed countries is choosing the right food, kind of food. More fat food is consumed per capita in the United States of America than in other countries. So the reason for this mass consumption of fat food is its affordability and accessibility. You can afford it. That's why. There's a danger to any kind of food. The moment they realize that we have this accessibility or affordability, they just eat anyhow. Very important my family is amena machita and accessibility, affordability, ya kupesa chakula kinachojionsi. Anawa makabuti wone zibatundu. That's very dangerous. Dawina yose mawa aje 10 o'clock kudia zaudi yako kutoka 12 o'clock aje 4 o'clock aje 6 o'clock even mpaka ndipo usiku enda mama kutoka kubedi kuenda ku kitchen free to cut because they have the accessibility, they have the ability to get that particular kind of any kind of food. Komono pakali controlling measures to avoid these issues overeating. So overeating is also a problem in countries where hunger and poverty persist. This pepesi. Ndi kupaki na zovuta. Udichakulia chodia mundu mmozi kumachakulia imekirunika kunyedwa jana for. Mundu mmoza kutsitsa yeka. That's very dangerous. So overeating can lead to many diseases such as heart disease and even diabetes. That may result in death. Another, I've already referred to poverty. Poverty is another problem when it comes to problem of development in children. Poverty and food prices. Poverty and so poor socioeconomic positions was associated with chronic malnutrition since it inhibits purchase of nutritious food such as milk, meat, poultry, and fruits. So, in short, we can say poverty and food prices can lead to problems of development in children. instead of the father providing for the family, the father is failing. The father is failing to provide for the family. Agricultural productivity can also be another problem. Agricultural productivity. So local food shortage can be caused by a lack of arable land. When we're talking about agricultural productivity, there are so many factors that can contribute to the productivity when it comes to farming, issues of farming. Productivity. You're supposed to have higher productivity of commodities or farm produce if the land is okay, you have arable land, the weather itself is also good to farming, also you apply farming skills, a lot of things that can contribute to high productivity of agricultural produce. So lack of these things definitely may cause a family or a country not to get food for the citizens. And lack of food for the citizens definitely may lead to developmental problems in children. So this is again can be considered to be a problem of development in children. Now the last question could be, what do you think could be the impact of malnutrition on development? What would be the impact, the effect of malnutrition on development? Mundu odwala amba muzitu kapena mundu odwala. I mean, take for instance, we've heard some things about malnutrition. Can malnutrition help in child growth? So which means the effect of malnutrition can negatively affect the growth of a child. Was that So thank you very much. My areas again, I'll explain to you. I don't know if there's any question, first of all. Is there any question? Do you have any question? No question. Thank you very much for listening. For those of you who are newcomers, welcome on board. But remember about time, be time conscious. Always, you came very late, we started with our class very late. So please try as much as you can to come earlier. We start our classes at exactly 8 o'clock. Please, at exactly 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock sharp. Thank you very much.